The Pope and the Forbidden Daughter, a retelling of whispered heresies, forbidden lust, and a name that still curdles the blood in the Vatican halls. In the year 1492, when Rodrigo Borgia was elected Pope, the cardinals knew what they had done. They had not chosen a holy man, they had chosen a monster in silk robes. Rome would not be ruled by sanctity, but by seduction, bribery, and power soaked in blood. Rodrigo would cradle her, stroke her golden hair, and whisper, "My star, my sin." But when the alliance soured, Rodrigo found an excuse to dissolve it. Publicly, he claimed the man was impotent. Privately, he accused Giovanni of being unworthy of her purity. Purity some claimed the Pope himself had already taken. Giovanni fled Rome in fear, declaring that the Pope had used her like a wife before he gave her away. He gave her gowns spun with gold threads, taught her how to read poison recipes before she knew her prayers. Servants dared not speak of the way he touched her cheek, or how he lingered too long by her side during Mass. Alexander VI, as he now called himself, did not rise from piety. He rose from his bedchamber because that's where most of his alliances were forged. He had mistresses, dozens, and children he never denied. And among those children, one stood apart. Not Cesare, the brutal son and killer in silk. Not one, the vain, doomed favorite. No, it was Lucretia. From the moment she was born, Lucretia was treated not as a daughter, but as a jewel. When she turned 13, he arranged a marriage to Giovanni Sforza, a noble pawn from Milan. She returned to the Vatican, to her father, her real home. A secret door lead from the Sistine Chapel to the Pope's private apartments. From that door, candlelight flickered until dawn. Cardinals, envoys, rivals all, fell ill after sharing a meal with Lucretia. Some claimed her ring contained a tiny reservoir of poison. Others said she'd learned the art of slow killing from her father's alchemist. But the Pope called her his angel. And angels, after all, were always the ones who announced death. Witnesses spoke of laughter, of music, of a girl singing lullabies behind locked doors. When asked about it, the artist only said, "I painted what he asked, nothing more." And that was when the nights grew darker. The walls of the Apostolic Palace saw things no sacred building should. Not long after, enemies of the Borgia family began to die mysteriously. 50 courtesans, naked and oiled, crawled for coins beneath the Pope's table. But a single cradle, engraved with the Borgia crest and hidden in a locked Vatican chamber, bore the words "In Fons Romanus." Years later, a skeleton was found beneath the palace garden, wrapped in red velvet, with a papal ring beside it. And there, amid the debauchery, sat Lucretia cloaked in gold, untouched by shame. Some said she drank from the same chalice as her father. Others said they shared more than wine. Then came Alfonso of Aragon, her second husband. He was kind, perhaps too. He loved her genuinely, and that was his fatal error. He watched, he noticed, he questioned. Not long after, he was attacked on the palace steps and strangled in his hospital bed by Cesare. When Lucretia wept, her father consoled her with an unusually long embrace, whispering he was jealous of what is ours. During this time, the Vatican held the most scandalous feast in its history, the Banquet of Chestnut. Soon after, a pregnancy was rumored. The child born in silence, buried in secrecy, was never named publicly. Alexander VI had portraits commissioned of Lucretia, dressed as the Virgin Mary. He painted as Saint Joseph, his hand resting on her womb. He wore white, but his soul was red. In 1503, after years of unchecked corruption, Pope Alexander collapsed at a feast. Some claimed poison. Others whispered God had finally intervened. His tongue turned black, his skin bloated, and as he lay dying, he did not ask for Christ. He asked for Luke, held his hand as he whispered his final words. You were my heaven and my hell. She came, kissed his forehead, but her eyes no longer shimmered. Her laughter never returned. She wore black, even at weddings. She slept with a dagger under her pillow, and she kept a small portrait of her father by her bed behind a veil of black silk. The clergy tried to preserve his corpse, but it decayed faster than any embalmer had seen. She said some sins could not be spoken, only remembered. The stench forced them to burn the tapestries. No incense could mask it. Some said the devil had come to collect what he was owed. Bound in flesh-like leather, signed LB, inside were verses, poems of longing, devotion, and guilt, addressed not to God, but to a man called Il Santo Pec. After his death, Lucretia was sent to Faramarid again, rebranded as a duchess. In her final years, she commissioned a chapel but asked that no priest ever hear her confession. Centuries later, deep within the Vatican archives,